what are some interesting things on Mormon Stories podcast? One of the most shocking things that I learned on Mormon Stories podcast was about the second anointing. Have you covered that yet?
I learned it from you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Have you covered it on your podcast yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah. So like, it's always crazy when you've been a Mormon your whole life for decades, going to BYU, going to gazillion hours of church, learning everything you can, and then you learn something completely new that's incredibly shocking and even revolting that was kept from you. And the second anointing is just that. So Orthodox Mormons or Never Mormons, if you don't know, there's a super secret temple ordinance called the second anointing, which has been around since the time of Joseph Smith. And it's basically how it happens is you're called, by your stake president, by one of your church leaders, and they say, you and your spouse show up at the temple on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. and don't tell anyone you're coming. Literally lie to your friends and family if they ask you where you're going. Keep it from them. Show up at the Mormon temple, and something very special is going to happen. So you show up, and you're there with like 5 or 6 other couples, and a Mormon apostle shows up. Now, in Mormonism, a Mormon apostle is viewed as a special witness of Christ. And Mormons are taught culturally to believe that the first presidency and the quorum of the 12 apostles, the 15 men that run the Mormon church, are all special witnesses of Christ, which means they talk to Christ.
Right, directly.
They've met Christ, they've spoken to Christ, and that's what we're all led to believe. So this person who knows Jesus on a personal level, one of the top 15 leaders of the church, is there, meets you at the temple, invites you in, and basically performs this holy ordinance for and with you and your spouse, basically promising you that you are going to become a God someday. You have arrived. You are not only going to make it to heaven, you're making it to the celestial kingdom, and not just the celestial kingdom, which is the third highest tier of heaven, but you're making it to the highest level of the celestial kingdom, which is the third tier in the third tier, where you're going to become exalted and be made a god and a goddess to rule over your own Mormon planet or planets someday. And so they do what's called the second anointing. And they basically anoint you and your spouse with oil. I guess they put oil on your head, and they anoint you with hand. I'm a little rusty, but they also wash your feet. The apostle, the representative of Jesus, washes your feet.
He does
I don't, I'm rusty on the details, but there's feet washing involved. And eventually I think the wife and the husband retreat into a room where the wife washes the feet of the husband.
Yeah, that
right?
checks out. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure the apostle washes the feet of the couple.
Man.
I think. You guys can go look it up.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. Enough of what I've said is right.
Yeah.
That I'll stand by it. And the point I'm making is why is this horrific? Well, number one, it's horrific because it's a super sacred ordinance that has been withheld from the general membership for over a century. But number two, it turns out that it's this elite privileged ordinance where, like, once you get the second anointing, then like your leaders ask you, hey, it's almost like a multi-level marketing scam. It's like, well, who do you recommend that you think should also be? And it's normally wealthy grandparents that have given a crap ton of money to the church, and then their children, and it's basically like, if you have committed enough of your lives, if you're wealthy enough, if you're powerful enough, if we want to make sure you never leave, and we want to reward you for all the time and money and reputation that you've given to the church, we're going to give you this super secret elite ordinance and promise you literally, and this is the other shocking part, that the only thing you can do to disqualify yourself from exaltation, from becoming a god, is what, Shalise?
Is it murder?
It's murder.
I'm surprised it's not sexual sin.
No. So literally by the rules of the second anointing, you can be a pedophile or a rapist
and still make it to the top.
Absolutely. What do you think it does to the psychology of a human to tell them they're basically Like horrible things on this earth. Just think of Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. They believed that they were gods. They believed that they were invincible. So they kill their spouses and children thinking there's going to be no consequence because they've got God's power on their side. Like, trust me, I have a psychology background. Once you start telling humans they're invincible, horrible, horrific things happen. And so, yeah, promising these wealthy elite Mormons that because they've got the right, parents or grandparents, because they know the right people, because they gave enough money, that they're going to be gods someday, and there's nothing they could do in the remaining years of their life to disqualify themselves. It's just horrific on 15 different levels. And then that it's withheld. A school teacher who's just a humble school teacher that never is wealthy, that isn't connected to some apostle. School teachers and traditional housewives or husbands or whatever, they're never going to get access to this ordinance. It's only if like your grandparents are apostles or your parents are super wealthy. Only the elite are gonna even get access to this ordinance. So I don't know. Is that horrific? Like for some people,
I think that's definitely shocking. When I first heard it on your channel, I was like, wait, what? There's like a super secret club in Mormonism? I thought Mormonism's already a super secret club. And like all this.
Well, that's one of the definitions of it's one of the criteria of a cult.
Yeah.
Is when there's secret levels where the more you advance within the high demand religion or cult, the more you learn.
Right.
But that super secret troubling stuff, like the branding of Sarah Edmondson within NXIVM, right? Like all that super secret stuff that's most shocking and troubling is withheld
until you
from
get to the
low
top.
rank members.
Yeah.
That's like, other than like getting your own name. Like there are a few things where if it's happening to you, you're freaking in a cult. One is if you're being given a new name by your organization, and another is if there's super secret rituals where you're not told about them at the beginning, but you're told about them as you advance in money and power. Like those are two sure signs of a cult.
Yeah. They take away your identity, give you a new identity, and then tell you not to tell anyone.
Yep. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one.
Yeah.
Second anointing.
That's a good one.
Is that all right? Is that good?